Can you hear the music on your end? Nice.
It is pretty good.
It is. I had it made for me.
That's what I was hearing.
A guy in Saskatchewan actually made it.
And you're getting words for it now too.
Yep. Oh, see, you're listening. Oh, dude. Perfect.
I'm paying attention.
Pay attention. You're there. Oh, just gets you fired up, though. All right, welcome back to another episode of On the Throne with Dick, and big shout out to Senjin Boychuk for that incredible intro outro music. Find him everywhere on the socials at Senjin Boychuk. And on today's episode, we have special guest, the Angry Driller, aka the Angry Drilling Guy, with an exclamation point even.
Yes, it is. It usually is, because usually when I got something to say, I make sure everyone hears it, whether they like to or not. I have a tendency to get a little loud once in a while.
Yeah, hey man, that happens. Is your blood pressure okay?
Blood pressure's fine. My allergic reaction to stupidity isn't, though.
Yeah, no, I hear that. It makes me angry a lot, and I do a lot of stupid shit too. So I can't say that I'm free of that. But when I do it, I take a responsibility for it, and I try. Usually, I'm pretty good at realizing I'm fucking up while I'm fucking up. And
Dude, I own that. Every bad idea I've ever had, I didn't need alcohol to do it. I did it straight up. My whole life decision was based. My whole life up to this point and still carrying on was based on the decision of, well, that didn't go so bad. Let's see what happens next. Is sort of the whole theory of going at it. Is this a bad idea? Yeah. Should we still do it? Absolutely.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah! It's like
weighing out the risk versus the reward.
It's like, I have a high risk, low reward factor on with me for sure. But sometimes you gotta risk it for the biscuit.
Hey, I forget what show that was. But there was a line in it and says, hey, "Is the juice worth the squeeze?"
There you go. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you get there and you're like, well, this juice sucks.
Yeah, damn it, I got syphilis.
Yeah. Yeah. So, man, I've been talking to you on the phone for like the last couple days now, man. And we could have almost recorded our phone conversation the other day. It was almost 40 minutes. And man, you got a lot of stories, dude. You have a lot of shit, and you've seen a lot of shit. You've been a lot of places. You've done a lot of things.
Yeah, I have been lucky that way. And as much as everyone ever knows, what am I, 45, I guess. But by 30, I had already traveled. I think I was about 30 countries already by the time I was 30, traveling around the planet. Grew up in this patch here. Started right at the bottom as a lease hand and worked my way up and got up and out of there, and then took myself on the international. And man, the world's your oyster, they say, and it's a pretty small place, but you sure find, what they say, no good story ever started with a salad, but it sure does with a beer.
So what's your favorite place you've ever been?
Honestly, every place has its own thing, and I've been 44 countries, 6 continents now, and here I found my way back home. But every place has its own unique, cool everything about it. Because with my work, I would be there for months at a time, or a year at a time, or 2. Like, for instance, Cameroon, I lived there for 2 years. Every place is super cool, but I'll tell you, if I were to ever disappear and say, fuck this shit, I'm done with these fucktards here, I am out of here, I would probably go to northern China, of all places. Nice. Climate's a lot like this. And what you see in the media and the people of that sort, it's different. once you get there and get immersed in that culture and become part of that, it's a pretty cool place. You know, Thailand, Japan, Tunisia, Australia, Papua New Guinea, Mexico, Argentina, you know, all these places, they have all their own something real cool about them, and everyone wants to see them. But it's hard to pick a favorite. But like I said, if I were to go anywhere, if I disappeared and people were looking for me, you'd see a vanilla gorilla walking around northern China.
you so do you think you have a kid on every continent or what?
No, 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 no. I've been been pretty lucky there. I'm pretty sure. Anyways, no. You know, a lot of guys get into that world, especially when they get traveling that sort. And I got to tell you, you know, I have had more of my fair share of fun in that sort. But I also, at the same time, when it was work, it was always work, and it was the adventure of it was the coolest part, right? You
Yeah.
know, and making the time to ruin something of that, to ruin something like that over something like that was never on the forefront of the brain. But I'll tell you, there was a couple times that it probably could have had me in trouble.
Oh man,
Go over
that's
to China and see a six foot tall Chinese kid with curly hair. You know I'm in trouble.
big beard, anger problems.
just mad at everybody.
You guys are fucking retarded.
Ting Chao Pao, fuck you.
Hey worm, go bring me the Vidor key.
Oh, I'll tell you and I'll tell you this one. China was a pretty cool project. I was working for, what was a joint thing back then? I can't even remember the two companies, but we were building drilling rigs for drilling operation up in the Northern Highlands for Papua New Guinea, and we're building them all over in China. And what a unique facility we were at. We were in a place, Langzhou. It's up in northern China, in Ginzhou province, and this rig building facility was pumping out one drilling rig a week. And when I say one drilling rig a week, these are 5,000 horsepower triples, just big monsters. But in one end of this factory, and this factory is 3 miles long by 3 miles long by 3 miles long, all one big sort of building, and then things in the middle and everything else. But in one end of this factory comes a train carrying iron ore, and out the other end is a drilling rig. They make everything from their nuts, bolts, bearings, pumps, everything. The iron ore come in one end, and out the other end comes a drilling rig. One a week, 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 consistently, and that is unheard of.
You there? Oh.
Yet inside this whole facility, they still have a steam powered.
Oh, he's going quiet on us here. Are you there?
Oh man, yeah, we disappeared for a sec.
All right, that's good. You're back. You're back.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
inside this
but
facility, they
yeah,
had
and
what?
a steam powered train that took everything around to the different buildings inside it. They had a big train bringing it in, and they still had a steam powered train like you read in books and you seen on cartoons. The old chugga choo choo train hauling stuff around in this thing. It was amazing, amazing.
That's
And
cool.
then and these were heli rigs we were building for the Northern Highlands up in Papua New Guinea. And so then from there, once we got the two of those done, then tore those apart and sent them over to Papua New Guinea, and then we were heliing them up into the mountains.
That's so cool. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was cool, really cool.
So, are you able to talk about your endeavor that you're currently on, or is that
Absolutely, no, absolutely we can talk about that. There's a couple little pieces that I can't complete dive into, but I'll
yeah?
tell you there's a couple sacks of shit involved in that thing as well too. But it's it's a learning curve and going from it, and yeah, there's absolutely I'll talk about it. Darn
So
right.
how did you get from like where you were to starting your own thing?
Well, here it is. So backing up a whole bunch, as we were talking earlier, so you were talking about that one gentleman, and I was a lot the same way when I started on drilling rig. I was lease hand, and I looked at that roughneck, and I went, I wanted that fucker's job. So I worked and I took that guy's job. Then I looked at that motor hand, and I went, fuck him, I want that motherfucker's job. Guess what happened? I got that one. I had to threaten to beat that guy up. That's another funny story. But he left, and then same thing. Derrick can driller. Well, and I just kept working my way up from it, and then got pushing, then got consulting. Took me, my things took me around the planet, and I got where I wanted to be, and life was good. I was bouncing around the planet here, there, everywhere, doing consulting, engineering. Me and some other friends of mine, we started our own company doing project management engineering, and that was this other stuff like in Cameroon and everything. And it was just getting closer to pre-COVID there when the slowdown was coming.
Yep.
And we just finished up a big project down in Uruguay. And it was right on the cusp of that slowdown there. So we sort of looked at everything and we went, let's just shut the doors on this. Let's just close the doors because we don't want to be burning money and there's not lots of work going on. Let's just sort of shut the doors down, and that's what we did. And then COVID hit, and everyone's scrambling for work and trying to do their thing here, there, and everywhere. And I got into doing heavy equipment hauling and building bikes for guys, and just keep myself alive. But at the same time, it was also a good time for me because my father was going downhill too, and so it was a good time for me to be home. And I spent a couple of years, and he passed on, and I just sort of got comfortable sticking around doing that, and we hadn't really fired much up. And so we'd been with my other partners and friends, and we were just sort of not doing very much with it. And then a phone call one day come, and it was Greg, one of my partners and very good friends, called and said, hey, you know what, we got to do something with this because we've had it shut down for a long time, and Taxman's looking at us, and they're out of Texas and whatnot, and what should we do? And we were all humming and hawing, and he happened to know a few guys, and he had some oil men in his family and whatnot, and he said, why don't we put some of this money into some wells that we'll redo up in North Dakota. We'll redo some of these wells and try and buy some acreages, redo these things, see if we can make a go at it. And it was like, fuck yeah. You know what? Good idea. Let's do it. Well, all of a sudden we get looking at it, and we find with this, we got some acreages and a few things, and it's like, you want to drill a well? I'm like, fuck yeah, let's drill a well. And made a few phone calls and that sort, and next thing you know, we're going to drill a well. And then the next search was going on because COVID had gone on and everyone had shut down and people had sold all their iron and equipment and this and that. But sort of a niche of mine was when I was the international thing, I was the guy to call for finding equipment, drilling rigs to go in here, there, everywhere. I just had my hand on knowing where a lot of the stuff had gone, right? And through like Trinidad Ensign, all that big buyout and that sort, knew where a lot of these rigs were and stacked, and farmers bought them for this and that and whatnot. So they said, hey, Riley, think we can find a rig? And we looked and we looked and we looked and we couldn't find shit. And then I said, well, I do know like one or two down here that are pretty much what we're looking for. And we could buy one by the time we're done waiting, a year for a drilling rig. We could buy this one and get it going. And they're like, fuck yeah, let's do that. Well, then all of a sudden the search comes on, and next thing you know, we just bought a drilling rig. That was my whole go at it last summer. Grabbed a rig that had been racked for about 7 years, nice telly double, in quite good shape. An older style one, but in still quite good shapes. And we were still, in the process of trying to make it right and make sure everything's good to go, so we're in compliances and that sort. So my whole last summer I spent going over a drilling rig top to bottom, hiring a few, a couple of nobody hands that wanted some work kind of deal, and spent my summer going that to get going for our drilling campaign. And our original campaign started out with one well, with that one being good, would turn into three more in a thing. And all of a sudden, we did that, and we started generating some interest. There was a few people. You bought a drone rig? You bought a well. Here we got a couple wells we want to drill. We got a well we need to drill. We got a well we need to drill. And so all of a sudden, it was like, bing, bing, bing. Well, son of a bitch. Why don't we buy another one? Fuck, we can become a contractor and a producer. And it snowballed so freaking fast from just, having a rig for doing our own thing to turning ourselves into a contractor. Well, I'll tell you, I grew up on a drone rig, but I didn't spend a whole lot of time in the office. I skipped that part and went on to the company side. And let me tell you, those guys, when you're working on the rig, you hate them sons of bitches in the office because you think they're cheap, you think they're this, there's never that right, you never send you the parts you want. Well, when you become that guy, holy moly, you think it's bad out on a rig pushing and just trying to deal with crews. Well, when you're trying to run your own rig and trying to find crews, oh my God, there's some stupid motherfuckers out there. Anyways, here I'm rambling a bit. But so then all of a sudden, that's what it sort of bubbled into. And so we ended up buying another rig. We actually ended up buying two more, one down in Mississippi and another one down in Texas, which is getting a refit on it. But with that, when we were buying, we had to have some investors that were being part of it. And at the same time, I put all my eggs into one basket, what I had left of everything. And so did three other guys, and we all, having cash flow is pretty tight when you're trying to drill a well and also be the contractor, right, and pay the bills. And no credit as a company like that because you're just starting from nowhere. So we got a couple other guys involved and thinking that they were good guys, and turns out they're the lowest form of shit that you could ever imagine. They ended up not paying some bills and disputing some stuff, and took $1.2 million that were out of escrow and run with it. And then
Jesus.
yeah, and pulled the bankruptcy thing and pulled all these things. And that's why I've been fairly quiet on social media for a while about it, because all this stuff's been in the courts dealing with these guys. And we're over the hump now, and we're going to get it. We've had to track them down because this is like the typical story you see on TV from something down in the States, which is exactly what it is. The guy took the money and run and fucked off and left everyone hanging, and then got hold of them. It turns out he had 44 other companies and has been doing the same thing to people forever and ever. But that's why guys are salesmen, I guess. And so it put a big hurt on us, because here we are having all this stuff, and he was hoping he was going to kill us through the court system. But our story, the way things have panned out and coming, we're over the hump now, and mid-September we're going to have all the final stuff done and have our two drilling rigs. Had to get rid of the one already because we needed to get some free flowing cash within there, and it wasn't a great old thing. It was an ugly old desert scrambler thing, anyways. But still, we're still trying to get rolling on this sort, and it sort of put a pause on our wells, and we have three drilled that we have not put into production yet, but they've tested and set for being quite good. We're hoping, but with all this court stuff, we've had to just put things on hold. And it's been tough. Oh, has it been tough? But usually when they say there's light at the end of the tunnel, it's turned out to be a fucking train for the last 6 months. But now it's actually coming the other way, where we've followed the rules and done the right things and kept the right documents and gone through it, and now it's just time, dealing with the courts.
Absolutely. No, that's quite the journey and the experience there with the whole court system, and what you were saying about being the guy in the office, the pencil pusher, the bean counter. You know what I mean? It's not how you thought it was, right? Like the bean counters.
No,
they're not out there to screw people over. They're there. It's a hard job. They got to do.
Oh, very much. I still hate accountants, but I'll tell you, it's even when you're a company man and they give you, on the project, oh, you got a $3.2 million AFE. Oh, you got 8 million AFE. You try and spend every dollar of it, and who cares? Not my money. Same thing when you're out on the rig. Oh, fuck it. Hammer's broke. Throw it. Oh, I always wondered why my pushers would only give me one fucking piece of chalk. I call them the cheapest cocksuckers out there. Now I know, because it's like with the second that chalk gets out there, every roughneck becomes crayon eaters and they all disappear in less than 6 hours.
Oh shit! Do you think they shove them up their nose like Peter Griffin does?
Well, some of the hands I've seen come back to work here this last year or two, I think they're shoving a lot more than just crayons up their nose.
How many guys you got working for you here?
Well, right now, with the out at the rig, we had a total of 13 solid guys, but we went through hands this winter. I'll tell you, you couldn't get anybody, so we went through. Oh, I bet you all of 30 some just in on one rig in 2 months. That was tough because
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just saying that was tough because there's some guys that come out there, they have all the heart in the world, but all they've ever done their whole life has been an accountant or worked at a grocery store or they've never had that blue collar work through whatever kind of weather. And I think if you've seen, I'm sure you've seen some of my TikToks, some of the weather we went through this winter. Boy, that broke a lot of guys real quick. They figured out you know what? I think I like it down in Alabama a little bit more. I think I like working at the tire shop, or that weather broke them.
Where were you working? Where
We
was
were
that?
working just north of Minot this winter, and boy, there was a super cold streak there. We were drilling our first hole. Shit, we had to shut down 3 times for storm, and I've never heard of that. I worked, around the planet, and North Sea, yeah, you'd have to shut down for here and there, or super rain in the jungle in Cameroon or something like that. But in northern Alberta, BC, shit, 44 below, we would be working. Who gives a shit? Let's go. Up red earth. Let's just keep going. Never shut down for that. But down there, the way that wind was blowing, it's like southern Saskatchewan. The only tree that's there is planted in someone's yard. So the wind was blowing, and we had graders and everything couldn't keep up with it. And I only ever seen a storm like that once. And who the heck was I working for? Anyways, it was just north of Calgary, right at Balzac there. We were drilling some high profile wells and that H2S stuff, and there was like a spring storm come in and shut us down. And that, in my whole career, that's the only time we ever had a full shutdown, until it went down there. And shit, we had to shut down 3 times because the snow and the drifts and everything. It was unbelievable.
Fuck.
I never thought Minot, of all fucking places.
Like Minot, North Dakota, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minot, North Dakota, of all places. Couldn't believe it.
I know a couple of friends, or I have a couple of friends or acquaintances, I guess I should say, on TikTok that are in the back end down there, and
Yeah.
they say the weather's very similar to here. Very.
Very much so. 30 below, winds blowing, whoop-de-doo. That's sort of, that's the norm for Saskabush and all that sort. But a little bit different down there. They don't have all the trees, and they got a lot of snow down there. And holy shit, it broke a lot of guys.
So you said you're having a hard time finding people, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a continual of it. I got to tell you, and this is no disrespect to anybody south of the border or north of the border, but our oil patches are 2 different things.
Oh yeah.
Like completely different. How when I started in this patch up here, I was lucky enough that I grew up with the old school guys, but moved into the modern, more safe, more this, more technology. Like when we never had loaders when I was working Derrick Hand. You packed all your shit out of a mud van, no matter where it was parked on location. But then it was lucky enough to grow into loaders, just the simple little things, and all your all of that. And the safety culture. Well, I can remember being roughneck motorman, this, that, Derek hands in doing lines off the mixing hopper. Or, I'll tell you my promotion from lease hand to roughneck. I showed up. I was working lease hand. It was 4 days, and this was the first time on a drilling rig ever. My fourth day, I went from lease hand to roughneck because the derrick hand went up the stick, and he went to throw in the first pipe, and he was too drunk, and he fell out of the stick, and he had a 20-foot lanyard on. Oh, bring him down. Other guys wouldn't go out. They were all it was up and it was right by Vaughan, Saskatchewan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Tri-City 9. And the other guys were too fucked up to go up there as well too. And oh, here you go. You scared of heights? Nope. Get up there. There you go. Started working derrick hand. Well, I was up there working derrick. Um, it was 5 or 6 days later. I was back down working lease hand again. Well, the motorman was trying to show the roughneck how to pull a survey barrel, but he wanted him to run the control down there. So he was standing up at the floor, and they had a sinker bar on it. And once again, these are 45, 50-year-old guys that looked like they were 65, 70 because all their life was chemicals and booze. And sure enough, they had just poured themselves out of Vaughan Bar just as we come on to shift. And what happened? Pulling it out. Guy pulls it right to the crown shiv on the top, breaks the thing, and the motorman standing there going, "I'll get it, like he's going to catch it." That's how fucked up he was. And the thing come down and speared him right to the floor. Speared him right to the floor.
He died?
Right? No, it went through his foot. Didn't go through anywhere else, but went right through his foot and speared his foot and held it right there. All they did was pretty much scrape him off to the side and push Haldeman down. And said, "Oh, you're promoted the motorman the roughneck who just wiped out the motorman to motorman, and I got a roughnecking job."
Fuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then once again, that was right at the start where that culture started changing, and a little bit more. But that's how it was in them days, and got to go up in that. And our patches moved so far ahead. The safety culture of things and doing everything right and doing procedures and because of all that old stuff like that. Well, you go south of the border, unless you're on one of those big rigs on a big company thing doing that stuff isn't there. It's like stepping back in time 20 years. You get cowboys coming out there smoking cigarettes, shit faced. It's like stepping back 25 years.
Yeah, I watch a lot of that shit on TikTok. There's a lot of those old boys on TikTok, right? Where they're not even old, they're just on rigs and doing stuff that you can tell that it's not safe. And we talked about this with Safety Girl Tanya a few weeks back, and she went over to the U.S. and she's like, oh my god, like they're still, they don't wear the same PPE we do. If they don't really wear any. Right, and that's crazy. I see a lot of that on TikTok. They're all in their t-shirts or their wife beaters. They're all wearing just jeans. There's no coveralls or anything like that.
There's none of it. And when I was in that position, fucking coveralls. Come on, it's a hot day. We're fast holing here, and your guy fought it, and then you got into it, and then of course as you grow up through the whole industry, then it just becomes the norm, and it's there for it. But down there, it's not. It is something very awesome and familiar about it, because it's like, yeah, fucking cowboy shit, let's go. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I'm not scared of doing anything dumb. I've been clear of it, but the common sense, again, those two words don't belong. That's missing from years back. The old boys, they did that time and time again, and when they took a boom, that's when you got in all the new hands and new this, and people got hurt, and they had to start changing that stuff. But that's how ours grew. But down there, it's like it got stuck in time. It's cool, but at the same time, it's like, okay, this is a cool reminder of what it used to be, but like, guys, come on, we should really, and to get hands out there that, hey, you want to go? Hey, you want to go get me a pipe wrench? Sure. They go running away. They come. They've never worked a pipe wrench in their life, let alone a flathead screwdriver. There, some of them are so too fucking dumb to roll a ball down a hill. You know, and I hate saying that, and it's on both sides of the border, no matter what. But it's the quality of guys you're getting is just not there. You get these sacks of shit that have daddy's money. Show up there and they're jacked up Ford with white sunglasses on and fucking, I'm going to become a rig hand. I'm going to be this and that. Yet them motherfuckers haven't even learned how to change a tire on that lifted son of a bitch. How the hell are you going to work out here? You know?
So if you're hiring, right? I get messages all the time. I'm sure you do too, from people all over TikTok. Hey, how can I get a job? A lot of people message me and like, hey, how do I get a job in the oil patch? Where can I work? I'm thinking about getting on a rig. And the first question I always ask right now is where do you live? Where are you from? Right? Because I get a lot of Americans, right?
Yep.
And I'm a Canadian guy. So I don't know how they would go about doing that, except for, hey, go on the job boards, type in oil and gas, oil patch, rig jobs, whatever. Type it in and just start applying. Like, where should I apply? What's good? And I'm like, everything. Just do it.
Opportunity, man, and that's the thing. When I started back in the thing, I took the first job that I was handed, and then the next
Yep.
job, and the next job, and the next
Yep.
job. Hey, jump in that cellar. It's full of cement. Okay, dive in there. Do it. Take the next job. And I've taken a lot of shitty jobs outside of the
Yep.
rig thing as well too. But it's opportunity, and that's what a lot of today's kids or young guys wanting to step into this thing are missing, because they step out of school thinking they're going to make 45 bucks an hour and do all, they expect it, and yet they've never even mowed the fucking lawn at home because they got their parents pay some guy to do it, or oh no son, I'll do that. You enjoy your leisure studies, and when they step into the workforce, it's, well, I'm not doing that. They want that job, and then they're like, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that, and they, boom, get the fuck out of here. And I think that those stories travel quite a ways, and that also slows people down. Lots of people who used to be in the patch got out of it because of the slowdown, and now for them to go back because just the experience is gone,
Yep.
and those little snot nosed, I hate to say it, those little snot-nosed weasels that end up being safety guys, and I'm not saying there's to be hacking on, but those little ones that couldn't hack it as something else, they're the only ones that stuck through the thing, and now they're ending up in charge, and it's like they got little man syndrome, and they're pushing out any of the guys that show up with heart. You can come up there and have zero experience, zero, and I learned this experiment this winter because the amount of volume of hands we went through, because couldn't get any experience. So I said, come one, come all. You want to come out and try it out? You got a shot. Yep, yes sir, you betcha, I'm coming out. And you know what? Those ones that showed up with heart, they're doing it because they need that paycheck. They have a family, they have bills, they want to make themselves better, and this is their last go, because for a lot of people that is, well, not making lots of money working here, but I can make some fast money at the oil patch and get myself out of trouble. And that happens in a lot of, but the ones that show up that need to be there or want to be there are a different breed. They can have zero experience, but if you're working for that better thing, they're teachable, they're coachable. And you can turn them into a hand because they're liking what they're doing, or they've accepted what they're doing with full open. And
Shout out to me working on a vac truck. I'm a swamper. Been a swamper for a couple of years. You know what I mean? Is it the greatest job in the world? No, man. But I got to feed my family, and I don't really want to drive. I don't trust myself driving, and I'm not a good driver. So and I know that. And if I can't keep a pickup truck between the ditches, I know my limits with a vac truck wouldn't be very good.
Those big ones are easier. You just bump the other cars and they get out of the way. But
yeah.
But that's the big thing with that. It's there's still good hands out there, but it's recognizing them, and a lot of people are passing by on lots of those ones when they come out. Oh, that guy's an idiot, or that guy's he doesn't have tickets, or he's barely got grade, or he just has grade 12, or he's done nothing. But and that's where we're still losing lots of guys because yeah, I like I said, went through a hell of a group of guys, but there was some old boys. One in particular. I say old boy. I mean, he was about 44, 45, come up from Texas. Never worked a drilling rig in his life, and he's like, "Sir, I need a job. I need to this. I anything." And we'd already been through a few, and I said, "You know what? You get your ass up here. I'll put you to work." He jumped in his truck, drove from southern Texas. He was up there in 2 days. Shit, barely ever seen. He's never seen snow like that in his life or anything of that sort. Anyway, took him into town, made sure he had the right gear and that sort, and boy, did that beat the shit out of him. Oh, he got like, dragging his. He was great for the first couple hours of his first shift. Oh man, this is great. This is that. By the third, fourth day, and this was right in the middle of that 40 below stretch we had. He was. You could see his whole being was just fucking gone. But
Hey, man.
the guy didn't quit. He didn't quit. And all of a sudden, a month goes by, and this guy starts going like this. And all he did before that was sales. He never got his hands dirty in his life. And let me tell you, he turned into be a good hand. When all the handful of these other ones, oh yeah, I'm a roughneck, oh, I'm a derrick hand, I this, I that. They couldn't handle the shit because it was a different operation than what they were used to, and they packed up and on they went
You
because they
wanna
didn't want it.
you wanna know how I've survived in the patch for 12 years? I'm a short guy, right? I'm a short
You
guy.
weren't you weren't done to the desks. I hope.
Yeah. You know what? No gag reflex, bud. You know, no. My how I survived is during the downturn. I got in during a downturn, anyways. The 2008, it was slowing down. I got in, and I was willing to do anything, right? Your septic shit backed up. Give me a garbage bag. I'll put a garbage bag over my arm, and I'll scoop the shit out of the sump if I need to. Get me in
Yep.
there. And that's my boss actually said to me the one day he was debating whether or not to keep me. He wasn't sure, and I was trying to feel my way around where I fit in. And it was that moment where I put the garbage bag over my arm and I went right in and I dove in there and I got as much of that shit out as I could to get it unplugged. He's like, that was my selling point. That's where I was like, I'm keeping this guy. And
Yep.
yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. And my willingness to do anything it takes. I'm a cog in the wheel. Wherever you need me, that's where I am. You need me there, I'm there.
Eh,
And it's
And
gotten me
and
hurt.
that's exactly who are the ones that have survived through all this.
I'm still here, man. You know what? I
Yeah.
haven't changed that mentality. Um, my thing is, a cog in the wheel. I'll do what you need me to do. You're paying me money. I'm there. My thing is, um, I can bitch about it or not bitch about it. Either way, someone's gonna get paid to do this job. If I'm bitching
Right.
about it, you're gonna bring in the next guy to do it, right? I
Yep.
want to be the guy to make that money. I want to be the guy
Yep.
to take that cheddar, that bag. I want to secure the bag and take it home.
Opportunity.
Opportunity, my man. And it's just worked out. And in 2014 when she started slowing down, all these guys in the patch in 2015 when it died, all these guys, they're like, oh, I'm worth more than this. I'm leaving. I'm a welder and I gotta push a shovel. Fuck that. I'm out. And
Yep.
all they kept leaving. And I took over the course of a couple of years there, I took almost a $10 an hour pay cut to stay busy. But I stayed busy. I was never not working. And that first
If there's money coming in, you're never gonna
Yep,
go
yep,
dry.
yep. And that first year when everyone was losing their shit, selling their shit, I think it was 2015. January 2015, I spent in on the beaches of Miami. The wife and I went to Miami. We're like, hey, you know what? Money's a little tighter now, but we're still making it. We're dinks then, double
Yeah.
income, no kids. Um, so January 2015, we spent, yeah, 2015 we spent on the beach of Miami. In June, we bought a brand new vehicle. in July, we went to Salt Lake City on a road trip. And we went down and drove on the Salt Flats in Bonneville there, and we went
Yep.
to there. And then in November, to end the year out, we spent November in California. We went and toured California. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it was a good year. You know, so
Darn right it was. But you earn it.
yeah,
You
man.
earn it. People save your money, do this, spend your money. You know what? It's your money. If you want to spend it on cocaine and hookers, go for it. If you want to spend it on holidays, go for it. If you want to spend it on fucking shoes, go for it.
I'm cheap as
It's
fuck. I'm cheap as fuck, and I have a viewpoint or an outlook that is, I'm leaving home for this money. I'm sacrificing time away from my family. I'm missing parts of my family's life. I have to save this money, and if we're gonna spend it, we're gonna spend it on like experiences and adventures, like trips and shit like that. Because where I'm away and sacrificing, this has to mean something.
yep. And saying that though, that's the other part of it is you can go buy the newest fucking sunglasses or the coolest hat or the whatever. You're not going to remember that shit in fucking 20 years. But you are going to remember that fucking time you fucking shotgun 3 bottles of rum down in Mexico and was riding a donkey backwards with someone's fucking panties on your head. That you might not remember, but your friends will.
Hell yeah, and there'll be
Shit
pictures of
like
it too.
that. But same thing with the wife and the family. Going to do that stuff. You're going to
Yeah,
remember that stuff because that was worthwhile. That was
absolutely.
that's the stuff that's worth it. That's that's my whole life story with my work where it's where I've gone and my adventures. I spent a long time from home and I missed out on a lot of things. But it was to make sure there was money and stuff for my family back home and at the same time, I'm getting paid to have this adventure and experiences with it. And let me tell you, there's when I finish writing putting my book together, which I have been slowly doing over the last couple of years here, because I've had a few friends of mine, publishers and this and that, say like, Riley, you got to write some of these stories because some of them they're so far out there they can't not be true. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. There's no way you can make that kind of shit up.
Yeah, like you can't, and every story you have, it's 90% truth. Yeah, there's a little stretch in it, but
You
there
gotta
are a
sell
couple
it.
of them. They're so fucking yeah. There's some of them so far out there, you can't. There's not a chance, and that's all. My work's done that for me,
You
and
wanna give
I've
a
and I
little teaser? Like what kind of story would?
well, let's. I've been in 2 helicopter crashes. I've been in 3 plane crashes. One been in a high-speed ferry crossing Indonesia over Malaysia. Got hijacked there. I was kidnapped over in Cameroon. Taken over to Chad. I was all down in Mexico. I was kidnapped and shot. Jumped out of a good airplane, but the engine was dead and had to actually parachute. Never jumped out of a plane in my life, but got to go skydiving, not by choice. Um, Let me see here. Mozambique got shot.
Were you just in a war
Iraq.
zone or what?
Well, that's all Mozambique is. You pull into the country, their national flag has an AK-47 on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's been some pretty wild things that happened with all that. By all means, yeah. Got
When's
some
your
got
book
some
coming out?
got some.
What?
Oh, it's still in the works, I should say, because it's all my things over the years. I always kept something from it, and I forget so much of things that all of a sudden something re-triggers that certain memory, and all of a sudden it comes back and it's like, oh fuck, what about what? Oh shit, and all of that because and not that a guy wants to delve. I know we've covered lots of the mental health stuff in these talks and that sort, but with those adventures and all that stuff also come a pretty high cost with a lot of the things. Like and I'm open to admit it, I'm a high functioning ADHD dude. If I, I'll be standing here and ooh, butterfly. Let's get on to
Same.
the next thing. Let's
Shout
fucking
out to
go.
that. Yep.
Yeah, and that was me my whole life, and that was me wanting the next job, the next thing, the next adventure, and the wilder some of them got, and that's where let out this whole start of this conversation. Is my whole life was, well, that didn't go so bad. Let's see what happens next, you know, and and it took its toll on me as well too, because when that downturn come and being at home and a few other things had to, I was going through family divorce and father dying and just a handful of other things happening. I took a dive and I had to hit the bottom, and not just hit it, fucking smash myself to pieces and my whole world, for me to pick myself up and go, you know
That
what?
wasn't so bad.
You're right. That was honestly, and that's the one time in my life where I went, this is bad. But I
Yeah.
couldn't see it. But I couldn't see it at the time, and had to change a whole lot of things, and had to take a whole fresh look on life and where I wanted to be again, because hell, I made it to the top of where I never expected I'd ever get, and I hit it, and I rode that fucker.
Okay.
But
Two ideas for the name of your book.
it,
That wasn't so bad. Or The Beginner's Guide to Skydiving.
oh, that yeah, that's just one of the small start of that one. The beginner's guide to skydiving. You believe one of these pilots actually let me grab the controls of a helicopter once? A fucking cam off. Here, you want to fly this thing? Sure. Does he know that I'm from Saskatchewan? I drive fucking combines. And he put me in the controls of a cam off helicopter, and he went to the back of the helicopter and smoked a cigarette. And I went,
Oh
mother,
fuck!
this, this is the most awesome day of my life, but I might die. Oh, keep
Is
going.
that one of
Yeah,
the crashes?
no, it is not one of the crashes. No,
So you've never operated a helicopter before, and you got into
never
the
operated.
controls, and this
Yeah,
isn't one of the times you crashed.
this is not one of the times I crashed. This was
Shut
not.
up!
I flew the helicopter. Yeah, it was
Wow.
actually one of the coolest things. No, in Papua New Guinea, when we were doing that heli stuff there, like up in the Northern Highlands, they run Chinooks and Antonovs and them great big helicopters, bringing them rigs up and down, and it's all helicopter operations there. And I was in Kiowa helicopter beside our crew that was going up there, and they're in Bell 204, two of them. And the weather up there, like the clouds come down so fast when the weather's changing up and down, and it's all fly by sight. Lots of these things, because who wants to spend couple 100,000 more on gauges and helicopters? Would be crazy. But flying to that, and as the clouds come down, you got to get down closer to the treetops, especially when you're between locations. And yeah, two of our helicopters, they ran out of vision, and we were behind. We're all trailing, following each other and sort of snaking along the edge of the trees, and one of them clipped the tree, and the other one did the exact same thing, clipped the tree, down they went. And as we were going, we clipped the thing, and that helicopter, three of us dropped all within, oh shit, all within less than a quarter mile of each other. And only three of us come out of that. Three helicopters, 16 guys, and only three of us come out of it.
Wow. So you're
Yeah.
a walking miracle right now.
it, it, yeah, I've had to, I would say that, but yeah, I've had a lot of other dumb shit happen too. What I've discovered is I spent a lot of years trying to kill myself in the most unconventional ways, exciting ways, and all those other fun ways and whatnot, and very much disregard for myself, well, not knowing it, just chasing that adventure, right? And then finally took my whole world to just implode on me, not explode, implode. Uh, for me to finally go, you know what? This place here I'm at ain't so bad.
That wasn't so bad. So
Yeah.
so as you could be considered an alpha male, right? Like you know when you are, right? So, like as a big guy, as a big alpha male, you're not afraid to admit like you've been through some mental health shit.
Oh, absolutely not. I'll tell you that. There you go. Not, I have no problem talking about that. You know, what I had to crash to find that out though. I literally, like I said, had to crash to find that out because I always thought I was this big tough guy that can't show his emotion, this, that. Grew up, you scrape your knee, dad, kick some dirt on it, get out there, be a man, and off you go. And that's, the way that was the era we grew up in. And having daughters growing up, I never had boys. I had daughters, and I discovered, I tried raising them like boys for a long time, only to discover that they're always going to be girls, and had to start changing the outlook on that a little bit. But until I had my own drop, that's when everything changed for me, and I struggled for a long time talking to lots of people about things because, as I said, I'd come home from work and I'd have some crazy shit happen that just doesn't happen in North Battleford, Saskatchewan, thing kind of deal. And trying to talk to people about it, they look at you like you got a fucking dick on your forehead and it's going like this. They can't. So I had to lock that up, and once I hit my wall, I discovered that talking about it, talking to strangers was my easiest thing because they knew nothing of me. They knew no judgment, no life reference of who I was or anything of that sort, and they could just look at you and go, and all of a sudden, it got a lot easier, and it took a long time to get out of that hole. I stayed in it for a while, kept myself locked up and quiet and going down the wrong way, and then all of a sudden, you know what? It's time to get living again because this fucking dying shit ain't working.
Oh, damn.
Uh,
Damn. The
yeah,
I heard this thing a few months ago now. If you don't take care of your mental health will take care of you.
huh.
And you're not going to like what it has in store for you.
You know what I learned? It's better to say shit and risk fucking it up than not saying anything and fucking yourself up.
Damn. I had to learn that the hard way, man. You know, the way I was raised and shit like that, the childhood trauma that I have from that and shit like that. I didn't think it affected me. I didn't think anything was there, right? I chose to ignore the signs, right? There's a reason why I
Mm.
talk the way I talk, why I act the way I act, why everything from the moment I say hi to the moment I say goodbye. There's shit there. I am hyper vigilant and hyper aware of everything that's happening around me, and I can tell you what people's next moves are going to be because I had to
Yeah.
grow up that way, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was an issue. I didn't think it was going to be a problem. And then in 2020, we're stuck in the house a lot, and then I did go back to work in like June of 2020, and I
Mm.
couldn't go home for months at a time for 2 years, right? And so I'm actually discovering it right now. My wife and my kids are in Ontario, and they're in Ontario on vacation, and I haven't got to talk to them much in the last 2 weeks, right? Because of time change, and by the time I get off
Yeah.
work, it's late, they're asleep, yada yada yada. They come home tomorrow, so thank fuck for that. But I've talked to my wife today, and I'm like, I'm starting to see where my issues were, right? Because like you guys have been gone for 2 weeks, I barely got to talk to you, and it's fucking me up, right?
Yeah.
Now try doing that for 2 years where I don't get to talk to you and I don't get to
Yeah.
see you and whatnot and hold my wife, hold my kid, and it man and it hit me hard. It hit me really fucking hard. And I put all my eggs in this basket for a job that was gonna change the course of my family's life, right? And so I did all the training. I spent a lot of money trying to do it. I was gonna go work on a Great Lakes ship become a merchant marine. I was gonna be a able-bodied seaman.
Can I can I cut
Yeah.
that just for a second? It just reminded me of a story. So another one of my
Hey.
adventures.
Not
We
yeah.
were taking we built a drilling rig here in Canada, and we were taking it over to Thailand for a project. We took it from here and we shipped it over to Everett, Washington, because it's got the biggest crane in North America, because that's where the Boeing plant is. Anyways, we took the one part of the rig and we put it on Antonov and flew it right out of Edmonton, but the rest of it all went to Everett, Washington, and we got a solo ship to send the whole thing and all the supplies and all the stuff with it. Well, I said, well, fuck, I've never been on the ocean before. Well, a little bit here and there. Mind if I jump on the boat and go with you guys? Let's go. So I jumped on a ship in Everett, Washington with a bunch of Filipinos and sailed across the ocean to frickin' Thailand on this thing. And boy, was it a riot.
That's fucking cool.
It was a riot because we go all the way down, go through the Panama Canal, right? Well, the ship had to stop. They had to make two other stops along the way and drinking in towns. And it was another cool adventure.
Yeah, so, what kind of a party was it on that boat? Because how long did it take to get there? 2 weeks?
It took just 15 days is what it
15
took.
days. Okay.
15 days, and it got to experience pirates, actual pirates. Got to experience them coming up, and they had armed personnel on this boat, and fucking they shot that fucking boat right out of the water and let them dudes drown right where they sit. Whether they're dead or not, didn't know. Just kept on going. It was like,
Wow.
holy fuck. Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
man, you're like an opportunist, eh?
Well, if there's bad shit happening, I'm usually got my head poking around the corner going, ooh.
Man, that's fucking cool, man. Like, there are people that don't even live half that life. You know what I mean? And you're only 45.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I celebrated my 30th birthday 3 times. 3 times in one day. And I was coming back from Australia. So of course you jump the time zone. But when I jumped on the plane there, it was the 18th, my birthday, and so of course having fun, living business class, got fucking shit faced, and then all of a sudden we jumped into the next time zone, swapped back over to the next day. Hey, happy birthday again! Got right shit faced again. But what makes it even better? So I land in Vancouver, and I'm shit faced, getting ready to jump on my plane, and who sits right beside me but Mike Babcock? And Mike
Oh,
and Babcock's right from my neck of the woods, right? And his father lived in
yep.
Meota. Anyway, so I've known, no, we know each other, and Mike's like, really? I'm like, hey, how's it going? So next thing you know, we're fucking piled right up because we're flying from Vancouver to Saskatoon, and we jump off the plane, and basically arm in arm, and my dad was there to pick to pick us up. We both come wobbling off the plane. He's like, what in the hell is going on? So we're giggling, laughing, that sort. Next thing you know, off we go, get back home. And as I get back home, they got a birthday party going on for me. So I got to celebrate my 30th birthday 3 times and get shit
That's
faced with
cool.
Babcock.
That's cool, man. I'm a diehard Leaf fan, so Babcock was a big part in helping turn us around there.
Yeah,
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 man.
it was.
I love Babs. I love
Yeah,
Babs.
good guy.
Wow, man. That's crazy. So yeah, you're from Battleford, aren't you? You said you're from Battleford.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah,
currently in
originally grew up.
Battleford.
Well, it looks like the old tropical inn behind you.
I'm staying at the Tropical Inn.
Yeah,
That's
no,
where I'm staying.
grew up there. You know what? My early life growing up was a pretty good one. I was in hockey, played WHL, all that sort, but had a good life in Battleford. It was a different town back
Time
then.
out. You played in the
Uh,
WHL? You played in the Dub?
yeah,
No, you didn't. Who'd you play for?
yeah. Calgary Hitmen and Swift Current Broncos.
You played in the WHL.
Yeah, I was with the Calgary Hitmen on the inaugural season.
Wow, that's cool, man.
Yeah, yeah. Bounced up through there, and
Were you like a
well,
goon or a grinder or what?
I sure as heck wasn't a puck handler, that's for sure.
Ah, you fought, didn't you? You fought everyone.
Oh yeah, I had those moments in my life. Yeah, by all that. Yeah, North Battleford. We had lots of us, our good ones, grow up. Like Wade Belak. We all grew up together.
I love Wade
Um,
Belak, big Leaf fan. Love Wade Belak.
yeah.
Yeah, rest his may
And
God rest his soul or whatever.
well, and yeah, and North Battleford's had it's had its hard run on things as well too. Colby Cave example. North Battleford. That's my nephew, and he played with the
Oh
Oilers.
shit. Okay, what happened to Colby Cave?
Colby had a brain bleed.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
he was with Boston, and then got traded to the Oilers, and then was here for his second season. That was only what 3 years ago now.
You should write a book.
Yeah. That's not. Well, that didn't go so bad.
A beginner's guide to skydiving. Shit, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
How to hide from mental health? How to hide from mental health? And
How
that
how long did you play for in the dub?
I was there for a season. Then I got suspended for another, and then life was taking me another direction. I sort of and I left it from there. I was with the Broncos when Graham James was there, and then when Graham James moved over to Calgary Hitmen, he brought me over there. And no, I was
Oh,
and no, I wasn't one of his Patsy boys. That's for sure.
okay, okay. I was
Yeah,
just I was
yeah.
wondering. I was like, oh, you Graham J. Oh shit.
Yeah, no, I was in part all that stuff as well too, and that had a lot to do with why I left it when I did as well. I was a young guy, and I just had my first daughter, and I was a wild, reckless, out openly say out of fucking control. Everything my parents could do to keep me reined in, and nobody could. And I was having struggles with depression and other things going on then, and didn't recognize it. At that time in your life, you really don't, and that's what pushed me into the patch per se, was just the adventure of something new and exciting, go rodeo and hockey and this and that. Well, when all that world sort of goes away, I was never going to be a 9 to 5 banker. That's for goddamn sure.
Same,
Yeah,
same.
and just got into a world of guys like me, or
Yeah.
me like those guys. Those were the guys that I could be more me around, and I could go out to work and be that guy, and then come home and be that different guy, and start wearing this mask, start wearing this mask, start doing that, and then start traveling more, and it becomes more bigger and elaborate, and that's a lot of. It was one of the greatest things and one of the worst things that ever happened to me, because I inflated my own self ego and self adventure and all that stuff, because I didn't give a shit, but at the same time, I was feeding that whatever it was I was looking for, and then I'd come home and have to be that different person, and started forgetting who I was altogether, because I got money and adventure and story, and I could be whoever I wanted all the time, and don't get me wrong, like work, I worked hard and did a good job at it and that sort, but at the same time, I was always someone different, where when I come home, when I went to work, when I was here, and it was all me starting to hide shit from an early age, and that's how I dealt with it, you know.
Man, you've lived one hell of a life. I can fucking tell you that. You're only 10 years older than me, man, and you've done like fucking way more shit. Hey, so are
Yeah.
you guys hiring right now, like currently?
Yeah, at the exact moment, no. We have our hands on things right now because our one rig's down, and our other one, we are doing a retrofit on it for a bunch of work coming up in New Mexico in the new year.
Okay, so you'll be hiring in the new year?
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll be hiring in the new year, and then actually come September, we are gonna be doing that again as well too. Once we get done with this court case stuff and we get things kicked into gear.
All right, well, this will be coming out in September. So, like, where can people apply? Like, you got a phone number, you got an email address?
Yeah, I have all of that. That's on my I have it on my TikTok thing, but it's we bounced around with a few names of a few things and whatnot. But what we're going to end up calling the drilling company is Intimidator Drilling. We've been keeping that pretty quiet, but that's it's going to be Intimidator Drilling now, and yeah, it'll just be my Hotmail guys can send to and until we get our full company stuff up and up full set, and it's just Big R Incorporated, BIGRINC at hotmail.com, and guys can get hold of me through that, and I do my best to respond. I got a lot coming in some days, and I do my best to get back at a lot, and I pass them on to our one fellow that's doing HR stuff for us, and he's a good old rig hand, and he recognizes certain things. So yeah, but we're never, everyone needs an opportunity, and it's the ones that want to show up that are going to get one, whether they have all the experience in the world, or if they've all they've done is run a vac truck or been a safety guy or a fucking out of work plumber. If they want to come, opportunities there.
So what about a Canadian named Dick, that doesn't have a work visa but would kill to work in the U.S. I want to work in the U.S. actually. That's
they're
been
act, they're
something I've
act,
been.
they were hard to get for a while, but they got easy because the states were running out of hands as well too, and not, believe it or not, they're not that hard to get, and even vice versa for stuff on the Canadian side. I don't think a lot recognize that it's fairly easy to get them visas now and come back and work back and forth. And we had a handful of guys from Canada, more than a handful, quite a bit that want to come down there and work and whatnot. And I started going through the process to get some of these guys and do it. But for that first couple well program, it was, I didn't want to uproot a bunch of guys from up there and change their whole life to come down for something that was we weren't sure on because it was growing so fast, right? Anything could happen, and lo and behold, something did. But as we've made ourselves through this fuck time with a couple of cocksuckers, it's starting to, it's not the train at the end of the tunnel anymore. It's actual light, and things go good this fall, we're gonna be back growing. I'm gonna be back down south chasing the shit out of this stuff because like you right now, I'm doing a bunch of other stuff just to pay the bills because that stuff down there, it's staying alive, but it's not enough to keep the lights on at home here. So I'm back home here doing stuff while all that's going on.
Wow, man. Hey, I got a question. Do you know what? And obviously you do, but do you know what viscosity is, right?
Yes, sir.
What is viscosity to you?
The thickness of fluid. I could read out the technical term, but basically the thickness of the fluid, the thickness of the fluid through a gravitational state.
So the thickness of a load.
Hot load.
Hey, body temperature. Oh, shit.
Well,
Where,
that depends. That depends if they're eating pineapple or if they've been drinking energy drinks all day.
where I'm going with this is the podcast is sponsored. I'm talking about my sponsor here. We're
Yeah.
sponsored by the Mudman. The
Oh,
Mudman Market. So www.mudmanmarket.com. For all your drilling fluids and laboratory testing equipment needs.
where are they based out of?
Out of Calgary.
Well,
Yeah, he's got a lot of the fancy toys and shit like that for
cups and stainless steel stuff and
lots,
test strips and
lots.
goodies.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it is digital actually. So he's taken, it's easy or not easy, but it's taken a lot of the guesswork out of it, right?
Yeah.
So the mudmanmarket.com, www.mudmanmarket.com, and I figured you really like that one because right up your alley. So check him out. Check him out. Solid guy. We're lucky to
Absolutely.
have a pretty relevant sponsor for the podcast. So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, man. It's been a wild ride, and that whole viscosity question has taken quite a few turns, like viscosity, thickness of a load. Like how thick is your load?
Well, once again, that's always a loaded question. That's for damn sure. But most answers with me, a lot of people are usually cautious when they're asking me questions because I usually try and do my best to hit left field. If I walk into the
Yeah.
room, throw a grenade, boom.
Yep. Same.
All expectation of me is already set out.
Sounds like you and I would be a dangerous combination in a room. My one coworker and I, we no longer work together, but our whole crew hated when we were together because like the moment we'd walk in together, or I'd be already in there, he'd already be in there, and one of us would come in, like
Yeah.
from the get go. I'd set him up, he'd set me up, and we would just go back and forth like that, like quick witted and like
Yeah.
all very funny. And we would take it as far as we could, right? And if no one stopped us,
Here's the line. Here's the line. Let's step over that fucker 10 paces.
oh no, we threw a grenade on the line. There was no line. There was no going back over that line. Once you were there, it was a
That's
walking HR nightmare, is what it was. Oh yeah,
those
oh
are the
yeah.
best guys.
Oh, I missed that guy. He actually called me today. We had a good chat. Pick up the phone. I'm like, what's going on, butt plug? Oh, he's like, just. And then he gets into a story about this woman who has a protruding asshole and her husband keeps slapping it and shit. Like, that's the kind of shit.
Ooh.
I just said, what's up, butt plug? And like, it goes right into the story he'd seen
It
earlier
opens
on
it
like,
opens it right up.
yeah, yeah. And same if he had said something to me, I'd be like, "Oh my god, I saw this thing on the internet, right?" And it would just we go back and forth all the time, and I love it. He loves it. I was supposed to go to his wedding last year, didn't go, and so the plan was to get a cardboard cutout of me to stand up there, and that would have been funny, but it didn't happen. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Fuck yeah, man. Hey, so you said you talked a lot of guys get hurt. Have you ever? And this might be too personal. Have you ever seen any fatalities? You've been around
Yes,
a
and
lot.
honestly, I have no problem talking about it. I have seen a few. In Canada, never see, never, seen broken fingers and shit like that. But no, two that stick out in my mind, and these were great learning lessons for me. One, when I was over in Tanzania, and we were over there drilling in Mananze Bay. It's this peninsula thing. If you look it up, Mananze Bay, Tanzania, it's right on a real point. It's the first marine park ever around Africa, or whatever. So it's quite a pristine area. And we were drilling on land there. And we had a neighbor's rig we brought out of Dubai. And the tool pusher's name was Cliff Christians. And he was from Calgary. And what happened was we were landing this rig on barges on land and bringing it all up and that sort, and they had these big shale tubs, and they were struggling with getting ramps and that sort to get stuff off these barges. So they took one of these shale tubs and they cut the walls off it. It had a big fold down ramp on the end. They used that at the barge to bring equipment off and that sort, and they brought it over to the rig site and left it there. Anyways, they were picking this thing up on site to just get it out of the way of the pipe tubs. And you know how they say never get between loads.
Yep.
Well, and it was just one of these freakish things. So they had this shale tub they picked up on all four corners, but it had this big ramp on top of it as well too. And when they picked it up, it squished the cables tightened and it squished this ramp, and it was about this height right here. And all of a sudden, it broke off the hinges of this ramp on the end of the shale tub. And when it did that, this huge gate per se, and it was half inch plate, 16 feet long with ribs and that sort, broke and slid down and hit Cliff Christians and pinned him right up against the shale tubs, and it squashed this man, squashed him, broke, crushed his lungs, broke his legs, everything from here down. He was broken. And we had a field doctor. She was from South Africa. She was in all them wars and that sort and whatnot. She got down there, chopped out. They got the equipment outside. She chopped a hole in the side, shoved tubes in him, drained them, got him on a helicopter, got him out of there. Now he lived. They had to fly him all the way down to Johannesburg, and it was a long time. He was like 3 or 4 months down before they could even ship him back home. And he lived. which I absolutely amazed me because I'd seen a few dead people and a few mangled things in my lifetime, that sort, but I'd never seen anything like that, having bones and stuff hanging out of them. And I'd never seen something quite as shocking as that. That was my first introduction to holy fuck. And then all those years of saying, don't put your fingers where you wouldn't put your dick, da, 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 all that did slap right in the face right now. It all made sense because the most innocent thing that not anybody thought of ruined a guy's life. Ruined it. Didn't kill him, but ruined his life.
Probably would have been
So,
better if it did kill him. Probably, right? Like,
well, yeah, yes and no, because the guy had wife and kids and that sort, and he had teenage boys and everything, and at least he's there to see him grow up.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, that was my first introduction to holy fuck of that sort, and then same thing. Helicopter crash. Got to see some pretty unbearable sights there. And one more sticks out for me when I was up in Dakar, Senegal. On a Walked out there. We were going to look at this drilling rig for a heli project, and they were showing it off and all that sort. And old school rig, sort of desert rambler style, set up on a box and box for helicopter stuff. And we were just there. We had flown in the night before, and then that day we were driving out to the rig, and we got out to the rig, and the guy who owned the rig was taking us around, showing it off, all that sort, and walked up on the drilling floor. And these guys are spinning chain, and the guy throws a loop. Guys on the old Johnson bar, an old style with the old Johnson bar still, gives it a pull, starts yanking that chain. It's coming around, and his arm got caught on it. And that guy was pulling on that Johnson bar so fast, yanked his arm right out of the socket. And that thing went
Holy
right,
fuck!
and it come right, like literally right out of the socket. Something you seen out of a fucking Batman movie. Anyways, the guy bounced off the Kelly, and he stood back like this, and this thing's going. And as he's still spinning, his arm come around and hit him right, the socket of his shoulder hit him right here. Killed him dead. Dropped him right there. Killed himself with his own arm.
Wow.
And we literally just walked up on the drilling floor. I got a cup of coffee. We were just coming to check out this rig, and they're showing it off, and just watch this guy get clubbed to death by his own arm. Killed him right dead on the floor. Well, needless to say, we didn't get that rig, but it was like it was walking off that floor, going down in the vehicle, and while that arm's spinning around, and all it had was a spray of blood, walking down, with a big with blood spewed all over your face, and it's like, holy fuck. And never really sank. It took a long time for that one to sink in. It's just like, oh, well, that's the way they treat life over there. It's a lot different, and a big adjustment for some people, and others not. But those are a couple ones that really stick out. And like I said, in some other adventures, seen some other things, but that's the two big ones that I've seen on rigs, but they haven't been in North America, Canada. They were in a different place of the world. Yeah.
You are the blue. Well, he's blue collar too. You would be the older blue collar Dougie Snakes. I don't know if you know who Dougie Snakes is. You know who
Yeah.
Dougie Snakes is?
Yeah.
You have like, so you would be the drilling rig world's Dougie Snakes. Your stories rival Dougie Snakes. You should just go shout out to Kelly Chains and shout out to getting hit in the side of the head by your own arm.
Yeah. No, there's been some wild ones by all means, but those, yeah, jump back to that. And you talk mental health again, and I'll tell you, at the time you lock stuff like that up, but all of a sudden that shit comes back to you years later because you never deal with stuff like that.
Remember today on the phone when we were talking about how we both know Wayne Kuhn, and I was trying to think of another guy's name? I just thought of it just now. It's Dwayne Beamish.
Nope, can't say I do know him.
No, he works for KAC. That's right. See, you said I would remember it at the weirdest
Yeah,
time, and
yeah,
here we are, like
yeah.
fucking 8 hours later. Oh shit. Uh, so hey, how how did the name Angry Driller come about? Like what? Why? What are you angry about? Or are you
Well,
just
no, I'll tell you. I was, I had my TikTok and then just watching a few videos, doing this, doing that, and sort of a nickname. I've had a couple nicknames over the years. Big R, or Big R, Angry R, something of that. Guys that always call me this or that, depending, because I never said no to a good time ever when it come to lots of things, and we were down there, and I had just this past winter we were down there, and I shut my TikTok off for a while. I was just sick of it. I had too much stuff going on here, there, everywhere, and then we were down there, and Christ, I had crews working, and then all of a sudden they get paycheck, buggered off. Only two guys show up, and typical bullshit. So I upped the ante and started paying more money and got in some what I thought were good hands. Well, turns out the pricks go and get fucking shit faced and arrested and all that other sort. And I haven't been up a stick in 20 goddamn years. But we're in the middle of drilling a well. Well, the one driller, I mean, he stayed over from the other tower and that sort, but I got three green hands because it had some extras and no dare can, no nothing. We're in the middle of fucking tripping. Well, I'm gonna go. I don't want to dethrone the driller because that was always important to me when I was pushing or when I was drilling any of that sort. No, the driller, that's his rig. He runs it. That's his place. Well, I guess I'm gonna go out there and fucking play Derek can. Why not? Well, I get up there and my knees are knocking like a motherfucker, and it's cold, and I am fucking angry, fucking pissed. So I'm like, dude, you know what? I need to get some more hands here, and I'm running out of people to talk to. I've called all my friends. I've talked all. You know what? Let's just see if I can route some business up this way. And literally, that's what I did. I reopened my TikTok while I was sitting up on the stick in between my very first flow check. I'm doing my thing, and then on our second flow check, that's when I put on that first video saying these fucking guys, are fucking fuck sakes, I'm fucking pissed. These fucking sacks of shit, useless motherfucking monkey fucking Ethiopian ass hair eating sacks of shit. I just went fucking wild and said it exactly how I felt about certain people and fucking mama tit and sucking cock sucking fucktards. And next thing you know, it just boom blew up. In 24 hours, I had over 5,000 people, and I had over 1,000 resumes and phone calls coming in, like in 24 hours. It was wild. Everyone sort of got a kick out of me fucking hacking on everyone, losing my shit, and apparently just telling the way I felt.
that's funny. Did you
And
find any
that's
guys
how
out
it
of it?
come. Yes, I found actually quite a few. Went through a lot of shitty guys, but found quite a few good guys. Very much so, lots of them. And
That's
I
good.
still got the resume. I still got I got a stack of resumes. I can open my phone right here, and I bet you I got 400 right now that that are in the let's try them out kind of thing, and they check in and they this, and I'm like, hey, I don't have nothing right now, but I know these guys, and I'll pass that stuff on to them. Try and help these guys out, right?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. No, I never saw that video of you freaking out, but I'm gonna
Oh,
go look for it
you're gonna have
after
to
we're
see
done.
it. Yeah.
Can you send it to
Yeah.
me? Do you know how far down it is?
Oh, it's right at the start of my videos. So
Oh,
yeah,
it's
I'll
pinned.
send it to you.
It's pinned.
Oh yeah, you'll find it. It's
All right. All
and
right.
then yeah, and then I got a few other hack jobs going on there, and just my whole general. And then it even grew more from there because at nighttime, because I was running 18, 20-hour days trying to get this thing started and all that stuff going on. Well, when I found time, I'd get into my shack and I'd sit down because I was company man, tool push, everything all at the same time, doing our own thing. So as I'm just unwinding, fuck it, let's go on live. Let's see what this is all about. Next thing you know, boom, boom, opinions on how I felt about politics and
Oh, I think you froze.
chatting about it on live, and I got more people coming into my lives and just having a howl at how I called out certain people and how I think about certain people's work ethics and fucking the quality of shit hands out there. And it was, people were loving the fact that I was just hacking on everything that a lot of people want to say, but they just are too nice to say it. And me, my filter is zero. I have zero filter. I plant a field of fucks out behind my house every year, and not one of them ever grows.
I love that.
Yeah, did I hurt your feelings? Good, it ain't illegal. Fuck off. You know.
So,
Uh,
so go ahead. Go ahead. No, you're finished.
I
There was
was
a
saying,
little delay there. So,
yeah, it's like it said, "Oh, did I hurt your feelings?" Well, can I get arrested for it? No, good, fuck off. You know, take your opinions and your fucking you've offended me and you granola eating cocksuckers and fuck off. You know, you don't like that we're drilling holes and you want to eat granola bars and fucking and hump camels and fucking suck dicks and ride in plastic kayaks. Go for it. Fuck off, you bunch of hippies. You know, this is the field I grew up in. This is the lifestyle I grew up in. Yeah, things have changed. We don't dump oil on the ground and shit anymore. And we do, we are environmental in that sort, but still all these guys that want to shut down oil and everything that surrounds the patch and that sort, they're my biggest target because, we have to change and grow with the times. And I hate the word fucking climate change, but at the same time, this is a necessity, and the lifestyle I grew up in and so many others. And yet you got all these fucking hippie granola crunching cocksuckers that have no clue that the shampoo that they use in the hair comes from petroleum products, and they try and ram it down our throat just like a fucking bull dyke in a gay bar. It's like fuck off. Great, you fuck trees or you eat shag pussy. I don't give a shit. Just don't shove it down my throat. Great, I respect it.
hell yeah,
To
hell
me,
yeah.
you want to go for it. But when they're shoving it down our throat, that's the ones I love to just because like you or like me, I don't walk out and say, "Yay, and I'm not hacking on certain whatever here, but it's like I don't walk around and say, "Yay, straight, I'm straight." You all have to hear that, or "Yay, I'm oil field," to run into the bank and say, "You guys are pieces of shit because you're bankers." No, I get up, I go to work, I do my job.
That's all. That's 90% of the battle.
Yep, I
ninety
get up,
percent
I
of the
go.
battle. Yep.
Yep.
Where can people find you on social media in case nobody knows or nobody has heard of you before?
Well, everyone can find me on the TikTok by all means at Angry Drilling Guy. I'm pretty well found there on that one. And then I have a couple Instagram ones as well too. My Angry Drilling one, uh, I think I've had that one on private because I had I don't know how many come onto that and just spammers and crap and everything, and I shut that one down. And I've been keeping my Facebook stuff off of that because same thing, man. With a little bit of popularity, you sure get some crazy motherfuckers show up. Holy
Yeah.
moly!
Yep. I had to
Yeah,
start. I've got 25K followers on Facebook, 40K on Instagram. I think just over 1,000 on Snapchat. Almost 1,000 now on YouTube. We're growing over on YouTube, and then between two TikTok accounts, over 100K. And man, it's exhausting. It is. It's exhausting, and I've had to take a little bit of a step back from it over the last couple of months. I had to get out and do other things because
yep.
honestly, it was starting to not affect me negatively, but it was just time to do other stuff.
Well, your
And
life
then
is revolving around it, and yeah, it takes away, and that's the same thing. I've been busy doing other things and trying to keep up on some others, and a lot of people are missing me and whatnot. But it's hey, I got other stuff I got to do. I'm still trying to build a business here and restart a life. I had, as I talked about, hitting bottom, and I had a little bit of stuff tucked away, and well, it's time to get living again. Enough of this dying bullshit, and now I'm in the growth thing again, and
yeah,
we've hit a lot of walls and a lot of things, but I'm not stopping till I get where I want to be now. You
Hell
know,
yeah.
I've done it once. I've done it twice. I know where not to make mistakes, but there's a whole lot of places where I'm still learning. Oh, fucking education costs.
Every
But
day, man. The day you come to work and you stop learning is the day you go home.
yeah, education costs, and to get education, you got to fuck up.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I'm not going to keep you too much longer here, bud, but I got to ask you, one more question here. It's usually how we like to end the
Shoot.
show. And, man, we're going to have you on again, though, because fuck, dude, like, I have a feeling there's a lot more stories here, and we need to go into depth on some of them. We could do a 2 or 3 parts on this. Maybe you
Oh
should start
yeah.
your own podcast, man. Like,
No, I'll tell you because then um, I I got to hand it to lots of people. I got to hand it to you and lots of the other guys that do have podcasts. It's engaging and finding the right things to talk about.
yep,
Going at my own. I love hearing other people's stories and their adventures and things of that sort. But at the same time, I've just in the last couple of years finally got to the point where I can talk about my stuff that I've had shut up for so many years. And there's some real cool stuff, and there's some real fucking shitty stuff. You know, and I got no problem talking about any of it anymore. Where before, you always want to highlight the good parts, but all
yep,
that shadow you'd keep in the dark. And I'm at that point now where I don't give a shit. If you want to hear it, I'll gladly tell you it. Maybe you'll learn something from it. Maybe you'll take something from it other
yep.
than holy fuck is that nuts to actually look at it and go, no, I've been lucky enough to make it this far in life and career and all of that sort. And I'm almost starting to feel like one of them old boys that can tell a story now.
Hell yeah. Man, that's why I love this podcast. That's why I love podcasting in general. You get those stories, you have the conversations, and we talk about it all the time. On TikTok, we can learn a little bit about you on 30-second to 1 minute long clips, but we can't know everything, right? And they
Yeah.
know what you want. They basically get to see the videos, like short clips of you, and and the podcast is like, and I've done ones that are like 3 hours long. So an hour to 3 hours of talking to you and figuring out, more about you, and getting to learn about you. And dude, that's
Yeah.
people this you were actually someone that other people have requested I go out and ask to come on the podcast. They want to know more about you. They're like, you should get that guy on the podcast because, like, he's funny, and the angry side of it. And man, it didn't disappoint. It didn't disappoint. That's for sure. I
Good.
learned one thing about you over the last few days. When you gave me your phone number and you're like, call me, and I'm like, okay, I could have, I could talk to you for hours, dude, because like you got a lot to say. You listen, and there's something there always. And man, we're gonna have to talk more. So
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. If you want advice on how not to fuck up, ask me because I've probably done that dumb thing once, twice, a third time just to make sure it was still wrong.
same. That's
Yeah.
the ADHD. So,
Yes, sir.
so to my question, I guess, Mount Rushmore has four of the most influential people in American history on it, or it could be history of North America anyway. Um, if you could build yourself a Mount Rushmore and put four people up there that you look up to or have inspired you, alive, dead, fiction, nonfiction, who would it be?
My dad would be one of them. My father would be one. Number two, I would have to say, oh geez, I would have to say, damn, that's that's a tough question. Um, I know some people might not like me for this one, but I would say Custard, as in General
Colonel
Custard.
Custard.
Yep,
Yeah.
of all things, because he was, from history, he's a bit of an arrogant guy. Walked into something thinking he was going to take win the world, and he got his ass handed to him, and they made a hero out of him. But at the same time, also created a whole lot of learning for a lot of other people. Um, you can be on top of the world, but at the same time, you can be dead. You can be dead in the dirt the next second.
Yep.
Um, a fourth one for that. Um,
I think this would be your third one.
a third one.
Yeah.
Third
You
one.
had your dad and Custard so far.
Yeah. Well, a fictional character, Rooster from True Grit.
I haven't seen that.
You'll have to. He's one of the most roughest, gruffest characters that you could ever see.
Where is it?
And
Where is that on? Where's it streaming?
True Grit, you can get it on Netflix. You can get it on almost anywhere. It was a great movie with Jeff Bridges.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then the originals with John Wayne. Um, so that's two.
That's three.
Okay, so I got to
Dis-
go for a fourth.
the angry drilling guy, dyslexic.
I keep trying to dodge that one. Um, um,
You can have more than four if that's where you're going with, but I'm just
no, honestly, it's a tough question, really, for me, because there's been a lot of influential people throughout my life in different ways, but at the same time, you look at people different in different times of your life, and you discover how things change of it. And
amen.
the ones that used to be heroes turned out to be the wrong, not what you thought they were.
My dad.
Um, yeah, like there's so much of that. Um, Brad Wall, because he brought Saskatchewan out of the fucking out of ancient history.
Brad Wall, yeah. I think okay, Scott Moe. Scott Moe is currently the premier,
Yeah,
right?
Brad. Yeah, he was the deputy to Brad before him.
So shout out to Gord from the Second Act podcast because he actually had Brad Wall on his podcast. And
Oh,
we could do a little teaser. I believe if you guys are going to talk and if you want to, I think Gord is trying to get you on his podcast too.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, is this your first podcast?
Yeah, I've done one other one with an outfit out in Seattle a little while back. The angry drilling guy made it all the way out there.
Nice. Well, hey, second is better than not at all, so fuck it. Hey, I thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate this, and we're clipping along. This will be close to episode 40, or even we'll be maybe over that. And this has been my baby so far, and it's been my outlet. It's been a lot
Yeah,
of
very much
things,
so.
and I'm having a good time with it. And I I just I appreciate you taking time out and coming on my podcast and helping me out. So that's
Oh, I love
amazing.
the invite, man. It was great. Great
Hell yeah.
talking about a couple things, by all means.
Hell yeah, man.
And
I
yeah,
appreciate that.
another time, get into some of them stories, by all means. And same thing. Want to tag on that mental health stuff? I got no problem telling them.
Well, that's huge. That's very huge because a lot of people need to hear it. A lot of people need to know that it's okay, right? To talk about it.
Yeah, it's okay not to be okay. Hear that lots.
Wow.
But I'll tell
Amazing.
you, what I discovered with that is it also helps in your circle of people. And I got to say that wife just come off over here, and I'll tell you, My partner that I have now, she has been my savior on so many levels. She, one of the few people that stuck through me when I was in my blackest hole and picked me up and reminded me that I'm that guy that can take over the world. And every time I wanted to sit down, she'd sit there but quietly beside, and the second it was time to get up, she'd be the one making sure that I'm going that direction.
That's
It's
amazing.
having the right
Everybody,
people.
yeah.
It's having the right people that believe in you.
And everybody needs some of that in their life, and everyone needs someone like that on their side and on their team. My wife is exactly that for me, and I've been really fortunate, to have a lot of people, a lot of good people on my side and behind me and in my corner. There's been a few that I've invited it over into my corner to kind of help push each other. Me push them, they push me. That have only been wearing a mask the whole time. But life's all about,
Right?
whatever. It is what it is. And hey, man, we're here. We're here. We're standing. It's all good. We're on the right side of the dirt. That's all that matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, spent too many years trying to die, and I'll tell you, it's a lot more funner trying to live.
Amen to that. Hey, Riley, aka the angry drilling guy. Thank you, man. And hey, you stay frosty.
Will do, man. Thanks for having me on. We'll chat again.
And that wasn't so bad.
That wasn't so bad. We'll see how the next one goes.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's good tunes.